crazy slash embarrassing slash WTF sexual encounters slash moments. Listen, I am 41 years old. I'm already thinking about two things. Oh my god. Anyway. Anyway, if you guys are interested in my crazy tech stories, let's make sure we get this video to 350 likes, and make sure when you hit that like button, let me know what number you were, because I will not do the story unless we get to 350 likes. Please repost this video on all your social media platforms. By the way, if anyone has TikTok, please repost this video or whatever y'all do to TikTok. I am trying to learn that right now so I can start promoting this channel on TikTok. That's the only social media. Well, I don't really care for Snapchat, if I'm being honest, but I do want to tackle TikTok. So yeah, but let's repost this video on all your social media platforms. Let's build this channel back up. And again, if we hit 350 likes, your girl will sit here and tell you all her crazy sexual experience story. I can't. And that will also include, if some of you guys remember, I did a story time on this guy that I was trying to deal with in college, but then he had the worst foot fit. Anyway, again, let me know what number you were when you hit that like button. Now let's begin. This segment, I was calling it Hollywood Scandal, but we're gonna call it Hollywood Stories, because not every story, like I said before, it won't be scandalous. So Hugh Hefner is up next. Now, I know my community post, I asked if I should do one long video or two separate videos, one about Hugh Hefner and one just about the Playboy Mansion, or just do one and not the other. But then I'm like, how do we talk about Hugh Hefner without talking about the Playboy Mansion? And how do we talk about the Playboy Mansion without talking about Hugh Hefner? So here we are. It is going to be a long video, but I will make sure I will put the timestamps in the comment section somewhere, or description box. I don't know. I will put it somewhere down below. So, Hugh Hefner was born April 9th, 1926, and died on September 27th, 2017. He was an American magazine publisher. He was the founder and editor-in-chief of Playboy magazine, a publication with revealing photographs and articles. The first issue of Playboy was published in 1953, featuring Marilyn Monroe in a nude calendar shoot. It sold over 50,000 copies. 50,000 copies. Now, I do know that Hugh Hefner had a obsession with Marilyn Monroe, like a deep obsession, you know. Matter of fact, if I remember correctly, he's actually buried next to her. was the first reality show that I saw. And I remember saying to myself, God, that mansion is not as spectacular as I thought it would be, you know, once we got to see the inside of everything. It I don't know, I wasn't impressed, like, at all. But I do know in January, because I've heard this over the years, that Hugh Hefner is not a nice person, but I think a few of the bunnies are planning on doing a tell-all interview on the E channel, and I think it said it was running for 10 episodes. You know your girl's all over that, right? Listen, they are going to be telling some secrets that, you know, rumors that we heard, and they're going to let loose, I guess, everything that happened behind closed doors. So we will be revisiting this whole situation probably come March, once the I guess the series finish. I will be coming back on here, and that will be Hollywood scandals. I promise you it will be. It has to be. So let's get into some facts about Hugh Hefner himself. I'm not gonna read this like word for word. I'm just gonna kind of like, you know, skim through it. Underneath the covers, so Hugh Hefner had his iconic look, as we all know. He always wore pajamas, or he wore a housecoat or slash robe or whatever. And it is said that under that robe that he wore absolutely nothing. Listen, this man had to make sure that he was ready at all times. All times. Like, how do you live? Well, first of all, remember he had 3 girlfriends plus other bunnies. Like, you have to be always ready. So he made sure that he was. So yeah. By the way, it's reportedly said that he wore over 200. He owned more than 200 pair of silk pajamas in 20 different colors. Okay, 20 different colors. That's crazy. He was married 3 times and has 4 children by his first 2 wives. In 1961, Hefner caught a Dick Gregory performance at a bar in Chicago called the Herman Robert Show Bar. On the back of that one performance, Hefner decided to sign Gregory to come and work from him at the Playboy Club in Chicago. Gregory later credited the performance at the Playboy Club Chicago for helping to launch the rest of his career. In 1944, he was enlisted in the military during World War II. He attended the University of Illinois and earned his Bachelor's of Arts in Psychology with a double minor in creative writing and arts. He later enrolled for graduate courses in psychology at Northwestern University, but soon dropped out. His thesis. Before dropping out of Northwestern, Hefner submitted a graduate paper titled Sex Behavior and the U.S. Laws, in which he concluded that almost every American would be in jail if all the laws against various sex acts were enforced. Definitely an interesting opinion. If you think about that though, right? Almost, if there was laws against certain sex, right, or sex acts, I think 95% of America would be behind bars. I can't talk about the UK or anywhere else. I am talking about the United States. 80 to 95% of the US will be locked up. It is what it is. You can fight me on that. You can battle course, people are freaks. Let's just say it. And to each his own, which is okay. But if there was a law on sex, listen, I know I wouldn't be the only one in jail. Y'all better stop that. In an interview with the Daily Mail, Hefner told everyone, I remember this, that he saved himself for marriage. He lost his virginity at the age of 22 to his first wife, Mildred Williams. But she cheated on him. Oh yes, she did. Let's see. He launched the first issue of Playboy in December 1953. The issue featured Marilyn Monroe nude calendar shoot. More than 54,000 copies were sold at 50 cents each. Not bad. You know, I'm 41 and I can honestly say I have never held a Playboy magazine, nor have I ever even looked into one. Matter of fact, I never even had a porn magazine. Is that a guy thing? I don't know. Like you see in movies like American Pie and stuff, like the kids always have like the Playboy magazines underneath their bed, but Playboy's been gone for so long. Anyway. Okay. Playboy wasn't Hugh Hefner's first choice as far as the name of the magazine. He originally wanted to call it Stag Party, but changed the name after being advertised by the already existing men's adventure magazine that would then sue to protect their brand. And then, he changed it to Playboy, and the rest is history. And then it says here that the Playboy enterprise started a chain of gentlemen's club that first opened in Chicago. The club's main attraction were attractive women dressed as bunnies serving drinks. In 1961, the Chicago location had 132,000 visitors in the first 3-month period, making it the busiest club in the world. But by 1991, the club chain became non-operational. It was revived again in 2000, but then closed again in 2014. In 1960, when racial segregation denied Black Americans equal rights, Hefner started the first Playboy club in Chicago and offered admission to people of all races. Well done, sir. I'm always impressed about people who go against the law or don't care about, segregation and stuff like that, especially back in them days, In 1963, an issue of Playboy featured new pictures of American actress Jane Mansfield in bed with a man present. The spread was deemed vulgar, which led to Hefner's arrest on charges of obscenity. However, the charges against him were dropped after the jury was unable to reach a verdict. So we have to understand that Hugh Hefner was the first one to basically put porn in a magazine for sale. Like, that's basically what it was. And then back then, between segregation and all the laws, it was very hard for him to just live out his dream the way he wanted to. He had to go through a lot of hoops, In 1970, the Playboy signature was so recognizable that the letters would arrive at their intended destination of Playboy headquarters. So basically all they're saying is you did not need to have an address on an envelope. All you had to do was draw the Playboy little icon and boop, it went right to the mansion. The first issue of Playboy was printed with an issue number or date. The first issue of Playboy wasn't printed with an issue date or number. Despite the star power of Marilyn Monroe, Hefner wasn't sure the magazine would get a second issue. Better safe than sorry, I suppose. While raising funds to launch Playboy, Hefner wasn't too proud to hit up mom and dad. His father, a public accountant, didn't think the magazine was a good investment. As Hefner was about to leave, his mother took him aside and handed him a check for $1,000 from her own saving. Later, Hefner said, not because she believed in the venture, but because she believed in her son. Shout out to all moms, especially mine, When Hefner's daughter, Christy, from his first marriage, visited the Playboy mansion as a teenager, the mansion had to be cleaned up with all the kinky stuff that was laying around had to be put away in efforts to keep her from knowing what was really going on behind closed doors. But eventually she found out and she became the president of the company. Hefner famously offered a special discounted Playboy subscription rates for priests and churches. Why? He wanted to encourage debate with those who criticized his magazine for its nude photos and promotion of values included sexual freedom and racial equality. That's an interesting take. It definitely is. And for the record, I believe that probably 90% of those priests bought the magazine. Let's be real. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all human. We all have needs. And we all look at things like, how do you get away from that? You can't. Alright, moving right along. When Hefner hosted a dinner party or gathering but was unable to attend, he sent a life-size cardboard cut out of himself to attend in his place. That's actually pretty creepy though. Besides saying, okay, I can't make it, you send your cardboard of yourself to the party. I mean, that's some rich shit. Okay, I'm just kind of skimming through all of this stuff because when Hefner became a father for the third and fourth time, his two sons were raised at the Playboy mansion. Nudity was banned and the grounds became a litter with toys and games. The Playmates at Play sign was rewritten to Children at Play. It's so funny how having children can change a lot. A brand, where you work your business, if you are a straight person or not. Children definitely have a way of bringing out the best in some, He was also a supporter of gay rights, and he also fought for same-sex marriage. policy on drugs, drunkenness, a no visitor policy, and a strict 9 p.m. curfew. They also had a weight restriction, which they probably won't say in here, but I remember a couple of times there was a little debate about food on the show that I used to watch, and weight was definitely one thing that Hugh Hefner did not play with, you know. I guess they had to keep their little figure tight. Then, oh, I forgot about this. So after the Playboy, right, there was a publication that was called Girls Gone Wild. I know everyone has been watching TV one late night and saw those damn Girls Gone Wild. Matter of fact, I wonder what happened with that. Do they still have that? Girls Gone Wild. But Hefner was not a fan of it, saying that it was a copycat, and he did not think the guy was a very nice man. See, for me, I think like the Playboy magazine compared to Girls Gone Wild. I never bought like a magazine from Girls Gone Wild, but just like the infomercials about it, you know, just a bunch of, it looks like a bunch of young college kids just doing stupid things, you know, lifting up their shirt, and it just seems like spring break basically. It seemed as if like Playboy was probably more classy than the Girls Gone Wild franchise. I don't know, because I didn't look at either one, but Vanessa Williams was stripped of her Miss American title. Hugh Hefner was offered the new photos that led to her resigning. He turned them down, saying there was never any question of our interest. But they clearly weren't authorized, and because they would cause considerable embarrassment, we decided not to publish. So if I remember correctly, Vanessa Williams won the pageant, and there was a lot of stars who did Playboy. You know, some did nude, some did not. But the fact that Playboy had like this image of like porn or, you know, naked girls or whatever, Miss America, they found out, and they actually took her title and her crown from her. Oh yes, they did that. I guess that's what they're saying now, like, you know, if you want to be a porn star or OnlyFans, you know, make sure that's what you want to do, because if those photos go out, your job might have that policy that they just don't tolerate stuff like that, you know, especially now that everything's on social media. You gotta be careful on what you put out. Okay, and let's see. Alright, I think we're kind of done here. He talks about his girlfriends and... Oh, it says here that at 91 years old, Hugh Hefner stated that he slept with over 1,000 women, and that was in and out, I guess, during his separation or when he was divorced. But over 1,000 women, like, who want to brag about something like that, you know? I don't know. Alright, I think, obsession is all telling you about. Hugh Hefner had an obsession with Marilyn Monroe, who knew Calendar shot the Grace for the very first issue of Playboy, even though they never met. In 1992, he purchased the crypt next to hers at the Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery for $75,000. Though, despite their obvious connection between the two, Hefner actually never met Marilyn Monroe, but he wanted to be buried right next to her. And ladies and gentlemen, he got his wish. When he passed away, say he was buried right next to his beloved Marilyn Monroe, although they never officially met. So, and like I said, his final resting place at the age of 91, September 27th, he was buried next to Marilyn Monroe. Alright, so I think we're kind of like done with this Hugh Hefner situation. It looks like they've been trying to do the story of Hugh Hefner for a while. But I want the real uncut stuff that's coming in January. Yes, 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 yes. Alright, so I think we kind of got the gist of Hugh Hefner. Moving on. So, this is where we enter about the Playboy mansion, the actual mansion. Let's jump right into this. Up first, the Playboy Mansion, also known as the Playboy Mansion West, is the home of Playboy magazine founder Hugh Hefner. It was located in Los Angeles, California, near Beverly Hills. The mansion became the envy of every teenage boy during the 1970s through media reports of Hefner's lavish and wild parties. Here are 42 facts about the Playboy Mansion and its founder. I don't know if I'll be doing all 42, but let's get started. Up first, the Playboy Mansion smelled. I'm not even surprised at this. Listen, when I used to watch that show, The Girl Next Door, I think it was called, one thing I used to always say is, why does a mansion always look messy? It never looked cleaned. I remember the carpets. Oh my god, I remember the carpets in some of the girls' room, and I remember the carpets being like a light blue or something. And then I remember the hallways, like there was just dog shit everywhere, and each bunny had like what, 5 to 10 dogs per bunny. So I'm like, all the money that he has, why does this mansion look like shit? Like inside it looked like pure shit. I don't know, but according to some bunnies and occupants of the mansion, things weren't exactly up to code. Cleanliness wise, there had been reports of old stained bedding and dingy furniture. Now all the sex that was going on in the mansion, you would think that, I don't know, the beddings would at least be clean. That is so gross. Along that, the girls all had pink bedrooms with white carpeting. Oh, I thought it was a light blue, but my mistake. It was white carpeting, which does not leave much to the imagination when it comes to the stains left behind from all the pets running around. I kid you not. That's the first thing I said when I thought about the Playboy Mansion was all those dogs and the dog shit. And the girls will walk around like it was nothing. Apparently, the girls would replace items like mattresses and bedding out of pocket and were only reimbursed after producing receipts for each of them. You would have thought that Hugh Hefner had a regular 9 to 5. Ridiculous. Lucky number 3. Rumor has it that Hefner would have to have 2 to 2 dozen girlfriends living with him at a time. These girlfriends are not to be confused with playmates one and stayed with Hep in his room. Each girlfriend received $1,000 a week bonus allowance. Well, shit. That means they got $4,000 a month to do absolutely nothing. Like, absolutely nothing. After 45 years of owning the legendary property, Hugh Hefner is now a renter. When he was alive, obviously. In August, he sold the grounds, his Playboy mansion enterprise, he sold it to a private investor, and he sold it for $100 million. The catch, Hefner was able to lease it for $1 million a month. So basically, he didn't want to move out, but he wanted to sell the mansion. So instead, he sold it for $100 million, but then rented it for $1 million a month. But see, well, okay. Would you do that though? Like, why would you bother selling it and then pay $1 million a month to rent it or to lease it? That's crazy. A month at that. The guest list to the parties of the Playboy Mansion were exclusive, with Hefner personally deciding on who gets past the gates. That's crazy. And of course, people would auction off the tickets. They were fake tickets, cheap tickets, but Hefner knew. The Playboy Mansion is a home to a private zoo. It is one of the very few private residences that actually has a zoo license. I think Michael Jackson also had a zoo license for, what was it, Never Never Land. Hefner is a fan of birds, and they can all be found all over the grounds. There are plenty of peacocks, flamingos, ducks, etc. He had approximately 100 squirrel monkeys. What exactly are squirrel monkeys? I need to look that one up. Okay, many people have heard or seen images of the infamous, I think you pronounce it, grotto. It was the big pool, or the big pool that had like the waterfalls and everything else, and the caves and stuff like that. The fake cave of rocks, the whirlpool, the waterfall, the dimming light, all of it. They also had a mattress. A couple of mattresses that were in the water that people can do the do. That's just so gross, because it looks like in 2011, over 123 fundraiser attendees all became ill. They tested the water off that grotto ill, and it came back positive. Oh my god. It came back positive for diseases. That's just gross, because people are probably peeing in that water, they're having sex in that water, they probably never, like, how do you not clean that? How do you not have someone, okay, how do you not have a pool person that cleans his water, I don't know, every day, if not every day, at least after every party that you threw? That is just fucking nasty. Oh, whatever. It's just nasty. And then 123 people became ill after being in that water. That is just gross. Fireworks. The Playboy Mansion is the only private home in Los Angeles that was in Chicago, where Playboy magazine was founded. You might be interested in knowing that a brass plate hung in the mansion that read, "If you don't swing, don't ring." That's actually pretty cute. Within the mansion is a secret room. Matter of fact, I remember too that the mansion also had a lot of like secret tunnels, secret passageways, a lot of secret stuff. Within the mansion is a secret room called the Elvis Room. Legend has it that the king himself, Elvis Presley, had a little slumber party in the room with up to about 8 eager bunnies. Yes, I remember that in one of the other articles that I was reading, he actually had a special way of getting into the Playboy mansion and a secret way out. He never came through the front door because, let's face it, he was Elvis. So there was a lot of, like I said, underground tunnels and stuff like that. So he was able to come in and out without being seen. And there was one rule: what happened in the mansion stayed in the mansion. So, oh, here you go. There were rumors of underground tunnels running from the mansion to the homes of famous guests like Warren, Jack Nicholson, and James Cain. Then it says in 2015, Hefner officially stated that the tunnels do not exist. I don't know much about the tunnels, but I do know there were secret passages and certain guests had secret doors they were able to go through without being seen. And I remember Hugh Hefner saying that on that show, you know. I don't know, let's see, I don't know. There's like a lot of, oh, my stomach is talking to me, as always. These are talking about just, like, stars that entered. I don't really care. We have, like, the Baldwins, Robert Downey Jr., you know, etc. Oh, it says here, banned. Actor Luke Wilson was banned from the Playboy mansion after an employee asked who he was with, and Wilson lied by saying it was his brother. When in actuality it was a friend. Wilson was denied entry for 18 months before he was allowed back in. I like how Hugh Hefner has these goddamn rules. Like, that shit is crazy. Make yourself at home. The amenities of the mansion were so lavish that several of Hefner's guests considered staying there on vacation. Oh, what time is it? It is 5:05 and my stomach is talking to me. You hear that? We hear you. The mansion had been host to professional boxing and mixed martial art events. So it seemed as if, like, you know, between the 70s, 80s, and 90s, Hugh Hefner mansion was the place to be. It was the place to get married. It was the place to party. It was a place to vacation. It was just a place, and everything, I guess, was basically handed to you. You know, it's funny, when I saw on TV the mansion, right? It's the same feeling I had when I went to the White House. I wasn't impressed at all. Like, at all. At all. Just saying. Alright, full-time Playboy employees, over 80 of them full-time workers, to tend to grounds. They cook, provide security, electricity, and plumbing services. It's funny how we don't hear the word, I don't know, maids. I don't know, people who clean the goddamn place. But they were cooks, security, electricians, plumbing, but no goddamn maids. I'm just pointing out, you know. Hefner used to take the mansion's regular scheduled movie nights very seriously. I actually remember that. I remember that he used to really go all out for these movie nights. And like I said, when we watched The Girls Next Door, it was 3 girls. Like I said, Holly, Kendra, and I cannot remember the other girl's name. But, you know, they would get food, they would order food, they would do everything, and they would do it like it was something that they all had to attend. You couldn't tell him no. There was nothing above movie night, like, at all. Wait, this is funny. Hefner takes the mansion regular scheduled movie nights very seriously. He has a board of friends. Okay, so he has some friends that he would come for screening, and like, I guess, you know, if a movie came out, he would be the first one to be able to premiere it. But he had a zero tolerance when it came to disruption during his movie night. One time he had Mike Tyson was invited but fell asleep early during the film. He was no longer invited back to the film. So God forbid you were a little sleepy. You could not fall asleep. If so, you were not allowed back in the mansion. Absolutely not. Oh no. Hefner isn't a big partier. He prefers to spend the night lounging in his pajamas and robe, watching his favorite classic movies. I also remember that. So like, if there was an event, he would definitely come down and greet his guests or whatever. But you never really see him like stick around. He would go to his room. You know, the bunnies would come up and check on him periodically. You know, I do remember that he used to watch like his guests, I guess like through the cameras or like security cameras or whatever, but he very seldomly was up late, and you wouldn't see him party a lot like until 2, 3, 4 in the morning. No. We read this: when a dinner gathering or party is in full swing and Hefner cannot attend, a life-size cardboard cutout of him can usually be seen over the proceedings. That is just, I said it before, that is just effing creepy. I don't care. Some of this stuff is really stupid though. Okay, one bunny opened up about the strict rules regarding behavior and appearance. She said, if you do something wrong, you'll get an email. There's a strict code of conduct. There are even rules about Instagram and Twitter. You got to show everything in a good light, and if you were drunk in a picture, you were in trouble. You see, I used to say, God, you know, groups like, well, K-pop, I should say like BTS, they have all these rules, like, you know, you can't do a live while you're drunk, of course, no drugs, there's certain topics you should stay away from, and I used to say, God, that is so strict. But now I get it. Like, you have to protect your brand, protect your bandmates, protect, you know, everyone around you, you know. Hugh Hefner holds the Guinness Book of World Records for being the longest serving editor-in-chief of Oh my god, shut up. After this, I have to eat something. Selling Playboy magazine is banned in many major parts of Asia and most Muslim countries, and I don't think I have to explain why on that one. It's a good thing that those parts of the world don't have internet. Of course they do. But yeah, I remember when I think it was Beyonce, she wasn't allowed to perform in any other Muslim countries because of her costumes. And I know during her world tour, she actually had to cancel that because I guess they got wind of whatever her costume would look like, and the Muslims were like, absolutely not. You cannot come here half naked and perform on our stage looking like that, queen or not. You better put on some goddamn clothes. And she was like, yeah, not doing it. We know that Hefner bought the plot next to Marilyn Monroe in 1992 for $75,000. With an IQ of 152 as a child, Playboy founder Hefner was no less than a child prodigy. He wrote a lot of comic books, mysteries, and horror stories in grad school and in high school. He even started a comic book called School Days, and you know what? He was definitely the little artist. Those drawings are pretty cool. We spoke about him enlisting in the war. I think now we're diving into his personal life, which we already looked into. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, we went to the war. We did that. Where we spoke about that. We spoke about the first name that he did. We did that already. We talked about the first magazine. We spoke about that. I think actually we spoke about the branding. I think actually we are done with this. Oh no. Pamela Anderson has graced the cover of Playboy, not to mention the actual mansion, more than any other model. A record of 14 times, starting with the October 1989 issue. She also wrote the foreword for the Playboy coffee table book, Playboy's Greatest Covers. Even after 6 decades, Playboy continued to dominate the men's magazine department with sales of over 2.6 million a month in the US alone, just here. 6 months after they decided to remove nudity from their publications in 2016, their sales jumped more than 28%. Yeah, I have noticed, even being on OnlyFans, I have noticed that men like natural. Men like to be teased. Men don't like to see everything right off the bat. They don't, and I noticed that the comments I get well, thank you for keeping it classy, or thanks for keeping some things to an imaginary, yeah, sometimes less is better, if that makes sense, Okay, so we have these are people who actually covered the Playboy magazine. Shut up. Drew Drew Barrymore, Madonna, Sharon Stone, Naomi Campbell, Kelly Burke, Cindy Crawford, and so on and so forth. And then it goes into why he always wore pajamas. It stated that he always worked at night. He had a late night work habit, so he was always in his pajamas. So he said, why not? Oh, this is something called bedtime. The girlfriends living in the house would have a strict curfew. They are required to be in the mansion grounds by 9 p.m. unless they are accompanied Hefner at an event. Staff take notes of which girls break curfew, which can result in losing a week's allowance, which was $1,000 a week. One of the most famous of Hefner's girlfriend is Kendra Wilson, who once quoted as saying the constant enforcement of the curfew was insane. Yeah, Kendra, I remember when Kendra fell in love with her husband, now divorced, but I think her husband's name was Hank. And I remember that no one was ever able to, leave the mansion or break up with Hugh Hefner. But she did it so classy, and she came to Hugh Hefner, and I remember she was so worried about telling him that she wanted to move out and she no longer wanted to be a Playboy bunny. And Hefner was so nice about it. He actually held the wedding for her at the house. See, a lot of people, and I believe it, that he was a nasty man, or there was a lot of things behind closed doors that we did not know. But I always say to people, like, if you come to someone straightforward and honesty behind closed doors, not in the media, nothing like that, a lot of times people will be more willing to work with you, if that makes sense. And I remember him saying the way she did it, the way she went about it was just so classy that he was honored, to let her go. Like she was a piece of meat. But you guys know what I mean, That's basically it, because we covered everything else about this. So yeah, all in all, Hugh Hefner definitely left his mark on U.S. soil, especially when it comes to like the whole porn and Playboy and everything else. He did something at that time that wasn't even like spoke of, So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm not sure who's up next, but let me know down in the comments who you would like to see next, and I will see you in the next video. I love you guys for watching. Until next time.